9,080 pounds, the Cougar 30 RLS here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. This gives us like a big fifth wheel living room. This effectively has the same living room as something like a 3120 luxury living Montana, but in a classification that is far more 3/4 ton friendly, perhaps half-ton friendly if you have a really proper heavy-duty towing half-ton. You get that big opposing living room super slide, rear sofa, and island kitchen in a much smaller, easier to manage package. Most of the time, one of the things I like to do in my videos is show the slides closed, and I'm just going to skip that in this case, because with the slides closed, you really can't get to anything but the bedroom and the bathroom. You can't get to the fridge, you can't get to the dinette. This is very much a destination use kind of RV. Now, if you don't mind opening up maybe just the kitchen slide in transit, well then she becomes very functional, but you will have to probably bump one of those slides. That being said, that slide system, it is okay if you do need to run it like halfway out to get something and then close it back up. Obviously, you don't want to do that in the rain, but you could theoretically do that for just a general travel stop. So, like I said, what we're getting here is that big fifth wheel living room in the smallest fifth wheel possible. If you're like, I want the biggest living space in the smallest fifth wheel, that's what this one corresponds to. Not everybody cares about having a giant king bed slide out, and I get that a lot of people do. I mean, it's certainly a very popular concept, but there's quite a few people who are like, listen, I'm not living in this thing. We're just going to do some extended stays or we're going to do some traveling, and that's right where this floor plan comes in. If that sounds like something that you would say out loud, I would be looking at this one. Because just like, say, the big Montana 3120 RL or the 315 RLS Cougar, that's kind of this on steroids, you get that no neck wrecker direct viewing entertainment system on that double swing out 4K HD TV. So it doesn't matter where you're sitting, and it can also pivot the other way, which not all pivot out fifth wheel TVs can. So this one, it doesn't matter, like, if you're just sitting on that theater seat. It doesn't matter if you're sitting at the dinette. Or let's say you have some guests over and they're hanging out on the rear sofa. You can turn it the other way. There's no bad seat in the house. If you're in the living room, you could have a straight shot at the entertainment center. Kind of like Big Cougar, they're pretty good about putting a couple little accent lights here and there, such as in that ceiling fixture, just to help brighten it up and liven it up a little bit. Below the entertainment center, you do have that electric space heating fireplace, so it's just another way to get some extra heat in the RV without burning up all your propane. But one of the things I love, what they did here really well, is they provided a full treatment to this trifold hide-to-bed sleeper sofa. And before I open it up, I want to point out those side stands. You can see how both sides have their own household and USB plugs. So it's very daytime phone friendly, it's guest CPAP friendly. Both side stands have their own like storage areas below. And if we do have a guest, this is better than just a grandkid sleeper. You could have adult guests sleeping in here. And that's what we're looking at right here. Our primary guest sleeper is naturally going to come in the form of this trifold sleeper sofa. 2 adults could fit on there, no sweat. 2 kids, absolutely easy. 2 kids? Suddenly I'm turning into Super Mario over here. 2 kids. Anyway. But notice, it does not block you from getting into that theater seat, and you still maintain full function, full even wall-hugging recline of the left-hand seat. So if you had to, let's say that you're grandpa and grandma, and you have adult kids, and they have a child, or you have 2 or 3 grandkids. You could absolutely make it work for a weekend back here. I know, because I've done it in Mr. Haylett's fifth wheel, who is my father, if you weren't aware. Mr. Haylett's my stepdad. And the 5 of us, meaning him, my mother, my wife, me, and my daughter, made it through his Montana fifth wheel for the weekend with exactly this sleeping arrangement, and it worked like a champ. Now, windows, I don't think anyone's ever disappointed when they have more windows in their RV, and that's one of the great things here, is that you are just treated to just a plethora of these big wraparound windows. You see how everything in the slide out opens for airflow. You get to see your campsite instead of having to look at the neighbors, which is very often what happens when the slides or the windows are on the other side of the RV. And it's not that that's bad, it's just that I think if you had your choice, this is what you'd prefer. Neat little thing on that theater seat I didn't mention sooner is how you do have the dual cup holders there, so you don't have to get up and down to set your drink down. Not that you don't, you know, you're not capable, it's just that you don't want to. And you do have a tiny little remote control storage armrest right here so that those remote controls don't slip down into the pocket. I know that at home, like I stay up, I fall asleep in front of the TV on the couch at night. At least once a week, I'm on my hands and knees under the couch fishing out a TV remote. Maybe this would help stop something like that from happening. The table and chairs upgrade here really just kind of opens this floor plan up. Not to mention, I don't think there's a lot of folks looking for a booth in a non-bunkhouse model like this. So we've got great living space, but the thing is, this model has an absolutely awesome kitchen for what you would, I guess, consider a smaller couples camper, but I think this kind of falls into a bit of a tweener. You know, it's got the technical front end of a small fifth wheel, but it does have the big living room of a bigger rig for sure. And kind of like a big Cougar, we have what I like to call the Pantrytainment Center over here. This is something Keystone does quite a bit. The TV itself effectively acts as a door to the storage behind it, whether that's for box goods, or if it's for things like, you know, Blu-ray or DVD discs or a satellite brain system or whatever works for you. It's actually another advantage of the fact that the TV can pivot out so easily. You see that there's an extra open HDMI slot right there. If you do want to expand your entertainment, it is very easy to do so in this model. But they also did it without wasting any potential kitchen storage space, because if there's one thing you never get too much of, it's kitchen storage. Now, I purposely set these shelves really wacky far apart with odd intervals to really highlight the fact that these are completely adjustable shelves within this pantry here. That is a gas electric, very traveling friendly fridge freezer. I also want to point out the fact that you have just bunches of easy reach appliance outlets. You have 2 on the face of the island, and you have 2 more, one on that coffee bar and then one to the right of the stovetop area. So you've always got easy reach places here to plug in appliances. We've got sealed edge thermal foil countertops throughout the RV so that, you know, if you do splash some water around, spill some coffee, whatever, no big deal. Nothing's going to get damaged. You have the same high-rise sprayer faucet, recessed sink, and flush sink covers here that you'd have in Big Cougar. You have the same recessed stovetop to really maximize your countertop prep space. And once again, we've got cabinet space everywhere that they possibly could. This is all pocket screwed cabinetry. I'm not really aware of anybody at this level of fifth wheel making stapled particle board cabinetry. I suppose it's possible. The lower storage here is fantastic. Now you might notice how like it's like that's a dead pocket on the right. What is that? Well, that's where your converter box is located. That's your fuse panel basically. But you know, they didn't just make big open cabinets. They put shelves in it to really maximize your capacity, and it's an absolute clinic in not an ounce of space gone to waste. Which is exactly what you see here on the island. You have the 3 full extension plywood box drawers here. You know, and they're even plywood boxed on the front. Most brands do that. There are a few that will skip that corner and they'll just try to screw the faceplate into this. It looks good enough when it's brand new. It's a way to save a couple pennies, but it's just something that I've always feared would wear out long term. Great space below the sink, whether it's for pots and pans or just like dish soap and whatnot. And a big extra space over here for a wastebasket. You don't have to have Walmart bags, you know, kind of tied up against all of your cabinetry here. Instead, you can actually have a dedicated wastebasket, you know, in the cabinet, out of the way, exactly how you're expecting it. As we move up here, there is a handy little motion light on these steps so that whether you're just getting back to the RV, like if you open this door right here, and just with me opening that door, it kicked the light on. It was enough to trigger that. Or if you're going up and down the stairs at night, utilizing this handy little safety rail right here so that you're not falling. All those extra little details that go into this. Now you see the little picture here of the phone. This is your in-command system. All Cougars have in-command. Anything you can do on this panel, you can do on your phone, whether it's operating the lights inside the RV, and it gives you a lot of diagnostics too. This is also like your monitor panel for your tank levels and whatnot. But you can control your lights, your slides, your awnings. You can even control your heating and cooling right from here. Like it's right now saying, hey man, this is a thermal probe. It's going, it's 81 degrees in here. It's a little bit warm. You could turn on the air, and right from your phone, from your theater seat, from your bed, you could crank the air up, down, inside, and out, however you please to, you know, make it comfortable for you. The bathroom here is excellent. It's really just really a junior version of what you'd find in Big Cougar. Pardon me real quick as I flip the light on in here for you. The general layout is the same. It's just slightly, and I mean slightly smaller. You got to know what you're looking for, but still great legroom. Plenty of room to get dressed when you get out of the shower, standing in front of that porcelain stool. Good linen space over here. A hanging rack, you know, a little rod there for your towels. And I love the fact that they've transitioned over into a clear sliding glass shower door so that, you know, it makes the whole room look and feel bigger. And it just, especially with that new shower wall backer, it just aesthetically looks great. Big adult size sink here, sealed edge countertop, so once again near a water source, we're not going to soak up and damage anything. You can see the GFI protected outlets for shavers and blow dryers, and a big vanity here, so that if you've got those shavers and blow dryers, and maybe you've got medications or toothpaste or whatever, you're good to go. Up here in the bedroom, big thing I want to point out is the fact that we have added to this Cougar in this video, which could be different from the one that we have in stock, the optional second air conditioner. Now, when you do that from the factory, it ties both air conditioners together through the centralized ducting. And you can see how it's double ducted, so that you're always getting great airflow. You've got one air conditioner all the way up front here, and the other air conditioner is all the way at the back of the RV. So it doesn't matter where you're at, you're always going to get very good, very strong, cooling, even airflow. And something that you'll hear me say over and over again, especially as we go outside, is how Cougars are excellent, excellent RVs for hot camp climates, you know. There's just a lot of areas of the country. There's a lot of people like, this business makes a big deal about, we have a heavy-duty cold camp insulation package, and this RV does have it. It is 0 degree rated. I love that little lack of step-up right there, by the way. But the fact is, not everybody talks about how well their RVs work in hot climates, and that's something that these Cougars excel at. So you saw the tiny step. In this size of fifth wheel, there has to be something there. Otherwise, you have to lose a ton of pass-through storage space. But instead of the old 9-inch step up that would break your ankle if you weren't paying attention, this is just a little bump. No big deal. No one's going to really get hurt by something like that. And I love how both sides of the bed have the exact same dual household and USB plugs. So, you know, CPAP, heated blanket users, phone chargers, etc. And then the little details, like the fact that they radius and trim out the corner of that cabinet so that it's wide open. If you roll over at night, you won't feel claustrophobic. You won't feel like you're stuffed into a corner. But it's also got that radius edge so that you're not going to gouge up your shoulder. Now we've got a large window opposing this slide, which you can see in the mirrors. And the mirrors are there to help make the whole thing look and feel larger by reflecting more of that light around. And obviously, they're doing a heck of a job. And what you have here is a very large hanging closet space. So if you are going to go on those long-term touring trips or even just extended stays, or frankly, if you just like to pack heavy for weekends and be prepared for anything, like in Michigan, you get all 4 seasons in one day sometimes. You better bring 4 sets of clothes for one day. That's just how it goes. But I love the fact that they didn't just make it a super tall closet. They added these dresser drawers below. You know, they utilized that space. It's still plenty tall for hanging stuff, but, you know, it's not overly tall and wastefully tall. Plus, that lack of step up or you know, around the bed means that there's a greater segment of space for like basically an easy lift storage trunk below the bed. They just didn't waste anything. And as we roll outside, I thought I'd start us with a nice look at the dual power awning situation you have going on with the Cougar 30 RLS here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. Whereas having a big doorside super slide on a smaller class fifth wheel, I mean, I know it's a fairly good size, but I guess you'd call it a smaller class fifth wheel compared to some of the behemoths that are out there, it would normally result in just one tiny, kind of sad power awning. But because we can add a awning to the face of that other super slide, we're really going to get maximum patio space that way. And what's cool is they're the same awnings, they're the same treatments, they have the same equipment and hardware, so it's not like your main awning has more function or lights that the other one doesn't. They're very good about that. Now, both of these awnings are easy tilt. Rarely are you probably going to reach up and worry about tilting that upper awning, but this one is down here more at ground level, so it is very possible that maybe you want to come over here and just grab the little 2 fingers and do the little 2-finger tilt adjustment on it and put it on a bit of an angle. Now, you'd probably want to angle it that way to push rainwater away from your campsite, but you get the idea. It only takes 2 fingers. And you can leave it cranked in a funky, weird position like that and just retract it, and the arms will sort themselves out. One of the, well, several of the features, I guess, around the door that the Cougar half-ton series shares with its big brother full Cougar is the larger entry door. It's a taller door, so a bigger person like me doesn't have to duck going in and out. It's anti-slam, has that handy bigger entry handle for coming and going, and you can see how it does have the MoRide stable step system here, which all Cougars have, regardless of trailer, fifth wheel, anything, for easier, safer come and go. Last year, in the fall, they redesigned the pass-through storage of their mid-sized fifth wheels, and they made it nearly as large as the full-size Cougars. It is actually very cool how much more storage capacity you get down here now. And just like Big Cougar, you see that you got outside TV hookups, we have motion sense lighting, we have our 12-volt heated holding tanks all accessible right here, your heaters, and the brain section for your in-command system, which obviously also acts as like your fuse panel, as well as it has a manual selector switch for things like if you want to roll these awnings in, but you don't want to mess with the in-command on your phone, you don't want to walk in and out, you can actually still do that from outside. So there's a couple handy little sort of, in a sense, override features that the outdoor access to the in-command system can provide. You saw inside how we like to put the second air conditioner on these Cougars here at Haylett RV. That, in conjunction with their really aggressive thermal package, all Cougars are now 0 to 100 degree rated. That started last fall, roughly September or August of 2018 that was true. But it's even more so true now with their newer, lighter, brighter skin package. That will reflect more sun, it will absorb less heat, and it makes this thing absolutely awesome if you're going camping in sun country. The 3-year structural warranty that it seems like everybody and their brother has, they're not all created equally. I do like to make mention of the fact that because Keystone owns their own paint shop and they do their own like nose cap painting, that even that will be included under their structural warranty. And that's one little example of the extra things that you get. Keystone's is the single most comprehensive 3-year structural warranty out there on the market. So definitely, you know, if you're not sure about those things, you want some more details, call our team. We can get you full details. Now, when you're in this, I guess you call it smaller or mid-size set of fifth wheels, you will very often just have a traditional fixed pin box. But you see that all the Cougars have these shock dampening pin box systems here, the road armor system. And this will help soak up some of those shocks and jolts on the road to give you a smoother drive. And if you've got something like a tonneau cover and you can't fully see your hitch when you're backing up and you don't want a spotter or don't have a spotter, that's where the Cougar Hitch Vision comes in handy. You've got that handy little reflective plate right there as well as that light, just enough to be able to help you get to see what you're looking at there. You will notice that they do not have pre-cracks under their bedroom slide fiberglass, as is very common within this class here. That's because they're built with the extra structure to make sure you don't have to do that. And one of those differences is the radius front on that chassis, as opposed to a flat nose. Long story short, if you peeled that nose cap off, the chassis itself would bend around the front as opposed to just being flat. Everybody and their brother knows that a radius end basically is more weight-bearing, load-bearing, stress-bearing than just a traditional flat edge beam or nose or roof or anything, really. This baggage door here, I love the fact that they spent some money on the double struts as opposed to just a simple like plastic latch holdback, because with this door sticking out near perpendicular, and by virtue of the fact that it is you know, full thickness laminated so that it actually does act like a decent thermal barrier, it would be too heavy for one of those cheap plastic holdbacks. So they spent the money on the strut so you don't have to duck under this thing. You see that they have a fully enclosed privatized docking center. As I mentioned, these are all 0 to 100 degree rated. We already saw the 12-volt tank heater switches. You know, what you can't see is the fact that under here, it's not just enclosed, it's not just heated, but it is also insulated and includes its own radiant barrier. This has the same belly treatment as a Big Cougar, which is frankly the same as something like a Montana at this point. And as long as we're taking a look under here, one of the things that I think is nice is how they actually include a handy sewer hose caddy right there, so that your black tank stuff doesn't mix with your other stuff, because I think those are two things that don't need to mix around. We are looking at the optional power stabilizer jacks in the back so that everything on here is push button simple. And as we stand up, you'll also note that you do have a 2-inch receiver hitch on the back, so that if you decide to add something like a bike rack, it's not going to void the industry's most comprehensive 3-year structural warranty. Isn't that nice? The slide boxes and everything here are built just like big Cougar. That means they are fully walkable. They have 3 slide seals in contact with them. They have a seal gripping, leak preventing textured slide wall. They have an interior like rain control channel, and at the bottom of the slide they have a little inversion groove on their trim piece so that water doesn't wick into the subfloor and cause a soft spot and rotten spot in the flooring over time. It is shocking how common that still is across so many brands, but you know, here's Keystone getting it done, making sure that in year number 8, 9, and 10, your RV continues to be in good working order. If you take a look at the taillights, you can see how they have a light, bright white section. That's because these have reverse travel lighting, just like your vehicle. But most towable RVs do not. Jayco's going to be one of the other few exceptions that does something like this. Their package is a little bit more involved, but also costs a little bit more money. So hey, RV delivery driver left their plate on here. We'll have to give them a call, have them come back and get it. They are going to want that. You will also notice I have all LED tail and marker lights, not just tail lights. More and more brands are getting on board with that. I still specify it though because not everybody's doing it. It's still not what I call a gimme feature that everyone's doing. The super slide over here on the campsite again gives us all the windows over here on the campsite of the RV where I think most people are going to want to see them. Every window in that slide opens. We already saw that second awning opened up, and actually everything I think we've already seen everything over here while we were taking a look at the awnings open. So rather than walk back around the front, let's climb up on the roof. Just like the sidewalls getting lighter, the roof also got rid of that tan skin of previous generations, which once again will help control the heat generated from the sun just beating down on the RV quite a bit. I always like to get up on top of Cougars because they are really heavy-handed with their sealants. There are no voids here. They do not want any area where water could possibly penetrate from the factory level. Again, the second air conditioner is optional. That is something that we've applied here. And another thing that's helping this in the hot climates is these things. There's a couple of them on the roof, these little white hockey puck looking things. Those are attic vents. Basically, the gap between the interior ceiling panel and the exterior roof decking that I'm trouncing on right now, it could generate a lot of heat, and it could hold a lot of heat. But you don't want it to do that, so they give it a place for that to sort of bleed and breathe out. It also helps a little bit of airflow exchange so that if there's any level of moisture that builds up in there, because man, I know there's areas like, you know, your southern belt of our country, your Georgias and whatnot, where the humidity just gets to be like 4 bajillion%. You want that thing to be able to breathe right there. If you're down south and a fifth wheel you're looking at doesn't have those things, I don't think you should buy it, because I don't think you're going to be real happy and comfortable with its performance. But that's the thing, guys. Every RV is the best in a different way. Every one of them. They're all the best in a different way. Even the ones we don't carry. I am willing to be fair about stuff like that here at Haylett RV. And that's why we like you to get to understand what it is you're looking at, because they're all cool for different reasons. You know, new, used, otherwise, big, small, and in between. We do a little bit of everything here at Haylett RV, but the one thing we don't do and refuse to do is hidden dealer fees. We just don't engage in that practice. But we do hitching, pieces, parts, trades, finance, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.